It's been a busy couple of weeks, so I'm going to cover 4 things in this little video update. The first was taking part in Dorset Coding Day, trying to encourage school children into programming and IT. Secondly, I speak to Nicholas Spence about their waterproof drone and the fact that they used it to collect whale snot. Yes, you heard that right, whale snot, so stay tuned for that. Thirdly, never felt more like an estate agent this week because I've been doing like 3D floor plans of the BattleLab, taking this Matterport Pro, the new one, Pro 3, around every 2 meters, and then clicking record. And finally, did you know I was on BBC South today on their news programme as part of my blood pressure monitor campaign. So that was great, but my wife wasn't too happy about them filming in our living room with crap everywhere. But hey ho, that's life. For the past few years, Dorset Council have been doing a coding day to encourage school children into programming and development. And this year, I was paired with Bovington Academy, which is just up the road from the Innovation Park and the Defence BattleLab. And it's been a while since I was at school, and it was really interesting to be in this classroom full of 25 plus children. I don't know how old they were, probably 8 or 9, but I could not be a teacher, I can tell you. It's like trying to herd cats. But what I did see was, them helping each other, getting stuck into the little project, and the amount of tech that they had was like way beyond what we had as children. So that was heartening to see, and I think it bodes well. But another thing that I did see was I spotted one child who probably would have been labelled back in my day in the 70s and 80s as a troublemaker or somebody who's been very disruptive, and no doubt they've got a different kind of label today. But what I saw was he sat down, he cracked on with his workbook, multitasking, getting on with the coding. But unfortunately, he got stuck at one point and got really frustrated, started banging his fist on the table, and at which point the teacher intervened, give him a little time out outside, and he came back and just sat out the rest of the class. Now, previously, I'm sure they would have been just marked as troublemakers and kind of marginalized and sidelined in mainstream education. But what I saw was somebody who was capable. Yes, he got frustrated, but it's that kind of person that needs nurturing and the full resources that we have in education to actually get the best out of them. And no doubt there have been so many people kind of overlooked when it comes to their ability by us not having the right attitude and the awareness to nurture these children to come through. So I think it's really, really, really important that we, give more resources to education. From what I saw, I wouldn't like to be in education at the moment, but I was really, really heartened to see the application and the help that the students gave to each other. That was really, really good to see. Whilst in the BattleLab this week, I saw this bright orange drone. We all see lots of drones around here all the time, but this one stood out. So I went across and spoke to Nicholas Spence, the managing director of SwellPro UK, and he gives us a little bit of insight into his product. Can you introduce yourself and your fabulous product there?
Hey, I'm Nicholas from SwellPro UK, here at the BattleLab with our Splash Drone 4, 100% waterproof drone. It can operate in the water and around the water. It will sit on the water and the camera can see underneath the water. It's positively buoyant, so it will float on the water, and we have options for different setups. This is set up as a search and rescue drone with the camera that can check in every angle, and the release system is a self-inflatable tube which you can drop to somebody in trouble so they can cling on to until they get rescued. We have many options for cameras. We have a thermal camera for seeking out heat signatures, and also a night vision camera with a spotlight for searching at night time. It's fully IP67 rated, which means it's 100% waterproof, 100% buoyant. It can lift 2 kilos, so we can also attach a megaphone to the bottom, which is relatively heavy, and lifeguards can be proactive in their duties by going out to people who are in trouble and just sending a message saying, please come back, you're getting yourself into trouble, and therefore therefore they get themselves out of danger. It's been around the UK for a number of years now, predominantly designed for dropping fishing baits for fishermen at sea, elderly fishermen or disabled fishermen that can't cast anymore can attach a bait to the payload release system. They fly out and press the button on the controller. The bait is released into the sea. They can then tell the drone to return home by pressing the return to home button, and then he can deal with his fishing while the drone automatically returns and lands where it came from.
You mentioned that it was being used in a chain of hotels overseas.
Yeah, so in the summertime it was actually used in a real life rescue in Greece. A chain of hotels have given these to the lifeguards, and basically there was a German gentleman, a 62-year-old gentleman in danger out at sea. They managed to fly the drone, drop him the inflatable tube, and he was rescued shortly after by clinging onto the tube itself. This has also been used in Australia for people trapped in rip currents, and they've just floated with the rip current whilst they've been arranging a rescue. It's been trialled in the UK by the RNLI over the summertime, and hopefully we can see it on UK beaches soon.
Excellent. So what other companies should be coming directly to you for this technology?
We've been approached by the military, hence we're at BattleLab. They're going to be using this for psychological operations. They'll be distributing leaflets to villages on a humanitarian basis where there's been an earthquake or a flood, and just to drop instructions to them to say, help is nearby, and the people can, get the information by air, just dropped leaflets.
That's fantastic. It's the first waterproof one I've seen, because you said most drones just fall out of the air when it's raining.
Yeah, sure. So basically, all the electronics are inside the drone. They're all protected from the water, and normally drones don't do that. Basically, if water gets into a drone, the electronics will basically fry and the drone will fall out of the sky. It has happened in the UK by a police force I won't name, but it has happened where a drone has fallen out of the sky because it was flown in the rain.
Hold on, we're not finished yet. One thing I kind of talked about, and it was actually used in Blue Planet.
Yeah, so on Blue Planet they were following a whale, and the scientists were diagnosing a whale's health basically, and what they did on the bottom of the drone is attached a sponge to the drone. They followed the whale in the air, and when the whale blew, all its
bad breath and things
was taken up by the sponge, and then it was taken and analysed to see if he had a cold or the flu or something. And
so that's been on BBC Blue Planet.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Blue Planet has been going into the production of the third series, which they'll be filming, I think, starting in January, and they will be using the drone again.
Excellent, amazing. Another use for this drone. I must have spent one of the most tedious 9 hours of my life over this week, just moving this Matterport new camera around the 2 floors of the defense BattleLab. So yeah, every 2 meters, click, 360 view. And but the good thing is, aside from just having a nice 360 walkthrough like you have seen from estate agent sites, the data from that capture can be run through a games engine, and we can actually create a real digital twin of the building, of the infrastructure inside, for us to walk through, as opposed to just a glorified photo album of different shots from different angles. Some of you might have seen my post, my little campaign on getting blood pressure monitors out into the business community. As business owners, sometimes we worry too much about the finances, the staff, the customers, and the business as a whole, that we forget to check up on ourselves. So my little campaign was to reach out to my peers and say, hey, there is this thing, high blood pressure, hypertension, that can creep up on you, and that's why it's called a silent killer. and we should check up on ourselves to make sure that we can counteract anything that's happening to us. Because sometimes when we get too stressed, it can lead to issues. High blood pressure can lead to fatal things like strokes, heart failure, heart disease, and so on. So my idea was to reach out to other business owners, get them to buy a blood pressure monitor for themselves, but also buy one for their peers. And hopefully through some magic nuclear-like chain reaction, it would spread amongst the business community. Because actually it's important that we check up on ourselves. And more importantly, if you have it in the kitchen or by the first aid kit, then your staff can use it as well. Because more often than not, when you go to a GP and they take your blood pressure, they'll say, oh, that looks pretty high. Can you go away and do a week's full of readings from the morning and afternoon and evening? But half the time, most of the time, we don't have these things lying around. So if you make it available for your staff, then hopefully that makes their life easier come the day that they need to use one.